Hi guys, my name is Joycephine Wagio Mwiruri, but everyone calls me Joy because why not? This is our first episode on YouTube, and some clips will be on TikTok and Instagram. Yeah, and my Mind Speaks podcast on all the sites you get your podcasts from, period. It may quite too difficult for me to say, but anyway, how are you guys? I hope you guys are doing good. This is the 29th of December 2024. I hope you all are doing way better than I am. Yeah, so let's do an episode where we talk about self-love. Okay, self-love, because why not? I mean, I think it's in every girl's Pinterest board, like self-love, how to do that, and it's so glorified. And let's talk about it. You know, I am a young lady, very beautiful. Yeah, and I think for me, let's get into the serious parts, okay? Okay, give me a second. That's the elastic for my wig, but I don't use it because I have chronic headaches.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't.
Yeah. So let's talk about self-love and where self-love lies in today's world. So obviously we know self-love is like love for oneself, and I think for me, self-love, the first time I can attribute self-love to myself, as in when I start really, really loving myself, is when I started trusting my own decisions and trusting that I want the best for myself and pushing myself to limits where I would otherwise not push myself there. However, I feel like for you to truly meet what self-love is like when a canon event happens in your life. When that happens, you really start like thinking about yourself, and you start wondering like, where am I headed? You know, when you start asking yourself questions like that, like, where am I headed? What's my purpose in life? What do I want for myself? What's the type of person I would want to be in 10, 5, 3, 2, 1 year, 6 months, 10 days from now? When you start asking yourself such important questions, that's when you truly understand what self-love is. And for me, the canon event happened a lot of times. Like, I feel like it was a calling that happened a long time ago, but I was just too scared maybe to pick the call. It got to a point where now the calling stopped coming from outside, and that it was just inside in my heart, and I knew like I needed better for myself, and I started I just started, man. Nilianza too, like I just started. It got to a point where it was just undeniable that I needed to change a lot of things about myself. Still trying to do so though, because I'm still young, bro. I'm still young. I am not someone with like generational wealth. I can say to you now, my only journey is just self-actualization. I'm not gotten there yet, but I will. But I think for me, it's a call that was always happening, and it's a call that happens in everyone's life. And it's just, I think I just seen an Instagram post where someone said for you to like have that like shift, like a canon event has to happen in your life, and that canon event can like take so many forms. And yeah, so like in the past year, I think it's the 1 year I've really like truly loved myself, like endlessly, like, and chosen myself so much. Because you see, like, I grew up in a very African house. Like, My mom is Kikuyu, that's a tribe in Kenya, and my dad wasn't very present with his also Kikuyu. Okay, my mom is Kikuyu and Bukusu, so I'm also like Kikuyu and Bukusu, I guess. But I think my dad wasn't very present. So like, get to know me. My dad wasn't very present, and my mom was very present. Like my mom's let's say presence in my life was very felt. I'm one of those people. I'm one of the few people in this world that has truly experienced love from their parents, and it's love that has always been there and has always been felt. I've been raised like an only child, but no, I'm not the only child of my family. We are a couple. We're two. My sister, like blood sister, we're two, me and her, and then I have just extended family where I have like other sisters and brothers that like have met me in like my journey of life. But like when you're talking about blood family, I have one sister and my mom, and obviously my dad wasn't very present, so I don't know if he had children other than us. I wouldn't know. I don't know him. Like, I've seen him when he was still alive. I knew of him. I knew how he looked like. I'd see him. There are 2 holidays. I met my dad for 2 holidays when I was like now able to like comprehend life and like maybe understand that like my surroundings. I was in class 5, so obviously that's at least of a child that can understand, that can see things that are happening. And I saw him for like two holidays, and then the other holiday where we were supposed to go meet him, he passed on, unfortunately. Yeah, so that was deep. I feel like I felt some type of way, in a way. Anyway, and then I'm telling you a background so that you can understand where I'm coming from when I say that this is the year that I've truly loved myself. And growing up like with my mom, it was very easy. Like, I can't say that I had a very tough time. Like, I made do with what I had, and it was like enough for me in those times. However, when now we were reunited with my sister, things just became different, and now it was a whole dynamic shift where I needed to like now coexist with this person that I've not known in my whole 13 years of living, and she has not known me in her whole, I think, 17 years of living. And then the dynamic changed. And I think because we were raised in such different environments, I'm telling you, even though my mom was like an African woman, like I was beaten on as a child. I was like all these things. Like, I wasn't sikuwa nimedekezwa venye ungevania like an only child would, but I was disciplined very well. However, like, in as much as my mom disciplined me a lot when I was growing up, I never felt unloved. It's never an emotion that I felt until maybe later in my life. However, like in those days, even though she beat me up, she'd beat me up even for the like pettiest of reasons, I still knew my mom loved me, and I still was so I think, what's the word? I was still so expressive and like trusting of my mom, and it was a safe space. Like, at that point, it was very safe for me to like open up to my mom when I was that young. Like, I'm talking about way before I got into my teenagehood, and shit happened. Just shit hit the roof. So and then when my sister came, like, this dynamic changed, and then I felt a lot of hatred in that house, like, because of the whole dynamic change. And it was until later on when I went to therapy when I realized that it was just like a power shift. Like, there was always such a like unbalanced power shift between my sister, myself, and my mom. And my mom has raised me to be someone with like a sober mind. I am very aware of my surroundings. I am not the type of person that can be easily manipulated, because my mom gave me so much mental strength. Maybe in her way of parenting, because she had to work jobs to like sustain us, but she taught me how to be independent when I was young. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's working very well for me right now. She taught me mental strength in a way, and she taught me, I think, in her own very weird way of like raising me up, she really taught me how to like make decisions, you know, and she allowed me to grow. And so by the time I was getting to my teenagehood, I had a very sober mind. I had a mind that could like make decisions and like could think of for myself, and it's not very easy for you to like all these things that people say peer pressure. I feel them, yes, but these aren't emotions that are feelings or situations that make me want to make decisions that will be then not like that don't serve me, you get? Because I think I was taught that, and in a way my mom taught me that. I don't know how she did, but she did it and it worked. So when I was getting to my teenagehood, there was at a point in my life we were left, me and my sister, when my mom like moved away for work, and we were left the two of us. And I think it was so difficult for her to understand how me, the child, could like make decisions, like be so expressive, especially with my emotions. I'm very emotional. I'm a lady, please. I'm very emotional, and I'm very aware of my emotions, and I think it was so difficult for her to. I think for me, that's how I can explain the situation. Like, it was so difficult for her to understand how this child, how you as a 13-year-old could be so expressive in emotions, and it's not expressive in a good way. I wasn't saying that, you know, that made me feel bad. No, I'm saying like reactive. Like when we'd be in an argument and she made me feel some type of way, I'd bang the door, go to school, come back, I'm not talking to her. And I think for a very long time it was very difficult for her to understand that. I don't know how in her messed up mind, how it's like translated in her messed up mind, but that's the best way I can explain it, because it then stopped being like this. It was stopped being verbal abuse and became very physical, and like that really, like, it took me back years back, because I guess from that situation where we lived together to when now we then moved to me living with my mom and her being in school, and then me going to high school, it took me back because I lost my voice so much. Like, I lost my voice, I lost myself, because mind you, like at this time I was in class 6 going to class 7. I was, this story has become very emotional. I'm feeling some type of way. I'm in class 7. I'm having problems with my blood pressure. Yo, I got to class 8, performed very well, went to a very good school, and then fuck, that school just, so that school was a lot. I won't talk about high school. That's a whole other episode where I talk about my frustrations with that school and like the like culture shift. But I think in high school is when I realized, fuck, I need to work hard. Like, life is not going to be easy for me. Like, I think for me, in my mind, I always knew that I had to work hard and like change situation at home. But high school like sealed the deal. I knew that I can't be lazy in this life. I cannot. And in a weird way, it really just shaped my mind and like shaped how I thought of myself, partly in a bad way, because like I came out of high school with like a lot of problems. Like, my mental health was in shit, and like I was now a chronic people pleaser. Sorry, I was a chronic people pleaser. I was always fighting to be like hard, seen. And you see, like, the biggest, I think for me, when I look at my life, I just see myself so different from like others, and not like in a way of being a pick-me or anything. I'm just saying I've always been different. Like, my journey has never been the same. When in high school, where people like used to worry about boys and like funkies and like having fun and like going to holidays and coming back and having so many stories, for me, in my head, I knew I needed to work hard. Like, and yeah, and then I got to uni, and then I think God just, oh fuck, sorry, I think God knew he needed to like change the people in my life, and like make me like realize like life is so much more, because I then met so many of the people that are like I made so many of my relationships that are core relationships in my life right now. Like, I'm telling you, I don't think I would know what life is, or like I would know, I don't know. I think people like Trixie, that's someone who's so monumental in my life. Like, I feel like if like people can be given awards for being in people's life, like the award of like best personality or like, I don't know, like the best award out of everyone's, I would give it to Trixie, because she's I lack words to express how important she is in my life. And like, I don't know where my life would be if I had not met Preston, who's like also such a big like influence in my life, and like in a very positive way. He's such a genius. Like, he's so smart. He's so smart. And like, yeah, those are the two people I hold dear to. Like, these are the people I would, like, if I was to give, like, if they had kidney failure, I would give them both of my kidneys. They live their life and just, and then now 2023 happened, and I'm in Taja. And then whatever, 2023 happened, 2022 happened. I think I truly met myself when I turned 20 years. Yeah, when I turned 20 is when I really truly met who Joy is, the true version of myself. Like, I am a hard worker. Like, you know what, people don't give themselves flowers, and this is like, when I talk about self-love, I'm talking about myself, and I love talking about myself, guys. Like, I truly love talking about myself. And one of the things I can truly tell people about me is that I am a hard worker. I work very hard. Okay, I work very hard on myself, for myself. You get, I don't think there's ever a point in my life where I've thought that I'm not a hard worker. There are situations that have left me like with very bad coping mechanisms of like stress and all these things. However, like, I'm a hard worker. I've spent most of my adult life like molding my life in a way that will like take me to places, and I have seen that. Like, I think the biggest for me my biggest what can I say, my biggest assignment was to truly find myself away from everyone else, and I did. And like, 2024 has been very successful for me in so many ways. I have met the strongest version of myself. I think I would never want to redo this year, trust, because I've felt so many emotions this year. I've gone through like chronic depression. It's not it's not something that was like diagnosed by a doctor, but you know when you have depression, you know when some things aren't going right. I'm very resilient. Like, I'm very resilient. I've gone through things that people wouldn't ordinarily go through and just keep quiet about them. No, I've gone through a lot this year, and all these things have introduced me to versions of myself that I didn't know existed. Okay, like, even right now, someone will look at me and think I'm doing the best for myself, but it's not. I'm not yet done, because you know the true measure of success when everyone else thinks you're doing good, but you look at yourself in the mirror and you're saying, not yet. You see, I'm not yet at my peak. And I think for me, I'm also very visionary. Okay, yeah, I'm very visionary. I know that I'm made for more, and I believe that to the core. I'm the type of child that always knew I'm going to make something of myself, and I knew that nothing will ever get in the in the way of that. And I know that, and I'm only 20 something, 22, and I'm heading there. You get, I'm like, I'm truly made for so much more. And like, I'm a dreamer. I dream, okay? And everything everything I put in my mind, and everything that I believe, and everything that I've ever dreamed of, I will become, and I am becoming. It's not something that will happen 10 years from now. It's something that's happening. It's something that's progressively becoming true. I am who the fuck I think I am. And that's so beautiful for me, because I think for me it started with like changing my thinking. It started with changing how I view myself, and it started with talking to myself in very positive ways. And if anything, people around me and people who know me can tell, because they can see the difference. It's not something that will happen, it's something that's happening. I am continually becoming the best version of myself, and this is what self-love looks like for me. It looks like talking everything I believe in, talking about my dreams, and talking them into reality, speaking them into life, because that's who the fuck I am. I'm also very creative. When I was growing up, I never thought that you can be bright and smart and still be creative. However, and this year I've also met the most creative version of myself. Like, there's everything that I put my mind into, it will be successful. I am that person that turns coal to gold. Give me my flowers, please, because that's who I am, okay? And I'm not talking about this to like boast about myself. And if you think I am, please, I am. I have no fight in me to like start up like arguments. I don't have it in me, honestly. And that's an evolution, because I've always been that person to like ask questions and always wanting to like start the pot. But not anymore, guys, not anymore. I've changed. I am not that person anymore. I am not going to be the person who always finds fault in everything. If you think that's right now, I'm allowing people to have their opinions and not questioning them at all, because genuinely there's nothing in this life you can do to change anyone. Allow them to go through their process. If at the end of their process that's the same opinion they had at the start is the same one they have right now, allow them to have it. It's not your life. It's not your monkey, not your circus. Just this year I've also like met people I never thought I would. I've been in spaces I never thought I would. And you know what, in my head right now I'm thinking there's nothing I can't do, like. And I also think I'm very teachable, because I've noticed something about myself that's very chef's kiss, like very beautiful. The fact that I'm very teachable is the fact that I'm the type of person you can correct. When you're someone who you like is very approachable and can be corrected, you're someone who everyone wants to be a friend to. You know why? Because people like you see, the thing about people is people are very selfish, intrinsically, like internally. Like that's the whole definition of humanity. The fact that people are very selfish. Give me a second. People are also, yeah. And then I think those are the lessons I've learned about myself, and that's what self-love is for me. Self-love for me is knowing who I am. It's allowing myself to meet myself, okay? Like, you see, for me, yeah, it's allowing me to meet me and allowing me to experience me. Like, not having formed opinions already, just being open-minded and allowing me to do me and just learn from myself. Because you see, the thing about us, the thing about ourselves as human beings, or as Africans or Kenyans, I don't know if it's something everyone experiences, but I know it's something very common, the fact that we don't see it in ourselves. And the thing is, we have so much potential in ourselves, so much potential, but the only way for you to turn that potential into something is when you allow yourself to just do it. You know, I am a consumer of Kenyan art and the art space. You'll always find me on YouTube and like other streaming sites, just listening, hearing, observing, and just seeing all these things. And like I see such a big disparity between Kenyans and people in the US, the UK, especially when it comes to like the art space. People in the US just do it. Like people in the Western countries, they just do things. And you can also attribute it to the fact that their systems work and like they have like avenues to like be themselves and they be their most creative selves. However, in the same sense, I think it also comes from just being who they are. Like I admire them so much. Like I admire like creators in the West so much, especially the new creators for streamers. The streamers, they're doing so much, they're doing so well, and they just know, like, and they just do it. Like I look at people like Kai Senat, that's one of the most like subscribed to streamer. I look at their group AMP. I look at like Philly, even though he has charges against him, you can still learn something from him. He's also a very good creative, he's also a business person, and you can learn so much from them because they just allow themselves to do it. I love Nella Rose because these are people who we just so starting, and we can see how allowing yourself to do it, just allowing yourself to push the boundary even further, like just see how much you can do in the little time you have. I look at people like Dashe Frost. Dashe? I don't know. My Kenyan accent, man, it's very present. Dashe Frost. I look at Ikane. I look at Rula right now. He's all over my FYP, which is like I'm eating that shit up. It's so fine. Anyway, I look at Rula. I look at Arrington. I hope I'm saying their names right. I'm not butchering them. I look at like Nosim Natasha from Kenya. You allow yourself to just do it. Just take your camera and do it. And it's not it's just so beautiful to watch. Like just, yeah, I think for me that's something I'm still learning to do, and it's not so difficult as I'm saying it, but I'm saying I need to overcome so many things about myself for me to do it. And whatever cost it takes, just do it, man. I think for me, like this year, I've been asking myself, Kwani, what's the worst that can happen? Kwani, what's the worst that can happen? Just do it, man. Just push yourself out there. Because trust me, there's so much the world has to offer when you allow yourself to just live. Yeah. And you know what? That's something I also need to learn. Just allow myself to live, man. But also, I think the downside of loving yourself so much is the fact that you don't have a lot of people in your life anymore. People just leave. People just, yeah, which is a very sad thing, but I get it. Like, I genuinely get it. Like, it's so difficult it's difficult when you love yourself, or like when you value yourself. It's difficult to keep people, because then you realize how much you've been given to people, or how much you've like allowed people to like use you. And like when you're now more self-aware and more like self-preserving, you preserve yourself and you like care about how you feel, you start realizing that like there's not a lot of tables that you can sit in, because you realize like sitting in certain tables or entertaining certain types of like characters and energies are such a big betrayal to who you are. And I think it's not, you truly believe, you truly meet your strongest version of yourself. And I'm not meaning like going through a lot, I'm just saying like the most assertive version of yourself, when you realize that, when you start saying things like, I can't do that because that's a betrayal of who I am. When you start realizing those things about yourself, or when you start saying things like that about yourself, that's when you realize, man, yeah, like, yeah, I am truly in love with myself, and like I am choosing me. When you're presented with certain like situations, opportunities, and like things, and then when you look at those things, you're like, good but not for me. When you start saying things like, it's good but it's not for me, that's okay for you, but if it's okay for you, then good, but it's not for me. I won't do that because that's not who I am. I won't say that because that's a betrayal of the person that I am and the person that you want to become. Yeah, you are truly in love with yourself. Yeah, and that is the end of our first episode. I really want to make this thing like, I want to make it like something that happens a lot. I want to be a good content creator. And you know what? This might not even go on YouTube. This might actually just go on my social media. And you know what? I'm actually living for it, because I'm good. Like, yeah. I want to say goodbye, and we meet again maybe tomorrow, because this year is ending after I have had like 4 or 5 episodes up. Period. And that's a wrap for this first episode on the visual content for my Mind Speaks podcast. Go listen to our other episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Listen Notes, everywhere where you get your content from, your podcast content from. I'm there. And if I'm not, hit me up on Wagio Mwiruri on all my social media. No, Wagio Mwiruri on Instagram. And until I'm still looking for a bang. Not a bang. I'm still looking for a good TikTok name. The moment it's illegally bad, but I just find it's not like raining. I want something that's very me. I might just call myself Wagio Mwiruri. Yeah, I could do that, because my name is freaking beautiful. It's a Kikuyu name. Wagio means what's the English word? Wagio. Sumbua. Stubborn? Yeah. Wagio means stubborn, and I'm very stubborn and persistent. So bye guys.